All right, so now we're going to come back out here now again, and we'll start actually looking at the lower limbs. So if we kind of look down here, let's do lower limb. So you can see here, here's the lower limb. And if we isolate one side of this, you can kind of see this is that part of the appendicular skeleton. You can see up at the top here, you can see there is part of this pelvic girdle right here. That is actually 3 different fused bones together. They're called the ox coxae, which is on your list there. It is really a combination of 3 bones called the ilium, the ischium, and the pubis that make up that ox coxae. We'll actually look at those in all in detail, but again, I'm just going to give you the overview of the bones first. So ox coxae there, that would be the femur right here. You have the fibula and the tibia right there. And then if we go down to the ankle, you're going to see your tarsals, which are the upper bones here. And then it's just like with the hand, you are going to have the metatarsals, which are the main feet bones right there. And then phalanges again right here. We will see with the foot, we do identify a couple specific tarsals that when we'll get down to it. So we'll identify the calcaneus and the talus, which are a couple of specialized tarsals on that one. So what I'll do now is I'll walk you through each of these. So let's start up here. I don't really want to isolate that. Is there any way just to... Nope. So we're going to kind of stay with this for a second here. So this would be the ilium. You can see what's lit up here. Again, a fusion of 3 different bones. So we have the ilium on this one right there. Ischium is actually this lower part right here. And then the pubis is the upper part of that right here. So that kind of shows you those different ones there. So we have a few things to look for on each of these. So pubis, since we have it lit up right now, we have the pubic symphysis, which is actually going to be, let me get that out of the way here. Pubic symphysis is actually right there. It's that connection there. It's actually going to be fibrocartilage that connects that together. You're also going to have what's called the pubic tubercle. Let me see if I can get a good view of it here. Let's see if we can... Oh, shoot. So the pubic tubercle is the raised portion right there. So if we have, now that we have this isolated a little bit, I wasn't sure if I was going to show you the whole thing or just that bone. Now what we'll do is we'll go and look at, here's the ischium. So you can see the ischium's that part of it right here. This is actually the bone you sit on. So the one of the easy ways to remember that is don't squishium your ischium. So this is really kind of the where you'd sit is on this portion right here when you're sitting down, kind of through this part right here. So with the ischium, let's look at the list here. You have really a couple things here that are kind of a combination. This is the acetabulum right here. That is that joint where the femur's head connects in. Outside of that, you're going to have really this ischial tuberosity, which if you were to look back here, it's actually a rough portion right there is the ischial tuberosity. And if you see a real bone, it's actually a little bit more kind of ridged on that one. And then really the last set of stuff here is this ilium. So you can see here's the ilium. The iliac crest is kind of this ridge right along here. And then the iliac tuberosity, let's see if we can find this. The iliac tuberosity is kind of right there. So that shows you the different parts of that ox coxae. So what we're going to do now is we will jump back out a little bit here. We're going to work our way down to the femur. So here's the femur. We're going to isolate the femur now. To me, one of the toughest bones in the body. We got a few things we need to point out on this one. So right off the bat, head of the femur. If you need to know, that is the neck, that narrowing right here. You then have a couple of bony spots here that you see only on this. So this is the easiest angle to see these ones. So this big raised part right there, that is that greater trochanter. That would be the lesser trochanter on the inside right here. Those are the two trochanters of this. And then really the only other structures we're looking at that help make up that knee joint. I'm going to rotate this around, bring it up, rotate it down here. So you can see still the head of it right. So you can see that the head's right here. We know that's medial, so medial condyle, lateral condyle. So those are the two parts of the knee that are going to actually connect with the tibia on that one. So the other thing I didn't really mention when we were looking at these before, you can see there's a bone that's not really attached and just kind of floating. That is the patella. It's a class of bone we call a sesamoid bone, kind of a round bone there. It is kind of floating. It's held in place by your actual patellar tendon that's going over the top of your knee. So on the lower part here, we have two leg bones that we need to know. First one we'll do that's a little bit easier. We're going to isolate that one. This is the fibula. So you have two structures you have to know on this one. Head of the fibula, right there. And then you have what is called the lateral malleolus. It is that outer part of your ankle bone that if you really know the knobby part of the outside of your ankle, that's it. So that's what we'll be doing on the fibula. The other one here is the tibia. So here is the tibia. So with the tibia, you have the medial malleolus. That is that structure right there. And then you have what is called the tibial tuberosity. If we rotate this, you can actually see it really well. Right there. So it's a really rough area. It's actually where that patellar tendon is going to attach in. Outside of that, you really just have to come down here to the foot. Oh, that's not what I wanted it to do. Let's isolate that. So here is the foot. Like I said, we have a couple of main bones on this one that you need to know that these are tarsals, but there's two specialized tarsals. So the one you actually always, when you plant your foot, that is a calcaneus, one of the tarsals that you need to know specifically. The other one is what makes up the ankle joint, which is right here. That is the talus that's making up the joint of the ankle. The rest of these, we'll kind of see. You have all these bones right through here that are also tarsals. I'm not expecting you to know those names. They do all actually have names. You then have your metatarsals, which are these ones right here. And then just like on the hand, you're going to have phalanges. And again, just two of them on the big toe, proximal and distal phalange. 1, 2, 3 sets here, proximal, distal, and middle. So that is what you need to know on these ones. Like I said, this is stuff that'll be on a couple different quizzes. Will end up being a bigger part of the actual next exam. Like I said, you need to know all these different bony landmarks. And again, I went through on this list. You can go through in your book, and you can also find a lot of this stuff as well. I also have a couple of PowerPoints on there that might be useful for this. So that is what you're responsible for.